You really do have very weak feet because you have literally lived in your shoes all day, every day, that are so restrictive of your feet, weakening your feet, then you're going to need a longer transition. The transitional period when you first start wearing barefoot shoes is very individual. For me, I was 27 and I didn't really feel like I needed a transitional period. And for the whole year before I found out about barefoot shoes, I'd been on maternity leave raising my first son. And I actually found that whole first period of motherhood quite tough. So I'd spent a lot of time in the house in socks or just completely barefoot was sufficient enough for me to then just move into barefoot shoes without any concerns about potential injury or anything like that. But also prior to that year of maternity, I was one of these people that wore sensible shoes. I bought my shoes from Clark's. I didn't necessarily buy wide fit, but I always bought a low heel. I very, very, very rarely wore heels. And I really think a lot of people out there do need a transitional period and they do need to go a bit more careful when they start buying barefoot shoes. And the main reason for that is the heel rise. So I think what a lot of people don't realise is even in flat shoes that are available everywhere, they're not actually that flat. So we are not used to using our calves in a correct and natural way because we're not having our calves in a natural position when we're wearing regular shoes. Even like Nike trainers have got that heel rise. When we start wearing something completely flat, we actually pull this calf muscle quite significantly, and that can lead to things like plantar fasciitis because the calf will then pull the muscle that runs through the underneath of the foot called the plantar fascia, and it can cause a lot of discomfort. And also another reason that people get plantar fasciitis is because when we get toe room, we again have all of that toe movement and therefore muscle growth. And so when you start wearing barefoot shoes, it can feel very much like that time we all go to the gym and then the next day we ache, and it's like a productive ache where your muscles are like woof, you know, and you feel muscles that you've not used before. And that's exactly what happens when you start wearing barefoot shoes. So really the transitional period can be none to quite a few months depending on what kind of footwear you've been wearing before and how restrictive that footwear is. And now there are varying degrees of restrictive footwear. You can have like stilettos and, you know, thick wedges, and then you can have like really pointed toe boxes and generally, you know, like dress shoes and that kind of thing. So it all just depends on how much restrictive footwear you're wearing and how often you're wearing them, and how strong your feet are. So all I would advise is that when you start wearing barefoot shoes, or when you've bought your first pair, wear them around the house for a few times and then perhaps nip out. Don't wear them for a long hike and don't wear them for a 12-hour shift off the bat. Just test how you get on and see how your body reacts, and it's really important to listen to your body. But most importantly, what is going on is the fact that your feet have got a lot more freedom than they used to, and they're just showing you and simply making you aware of the muscles that you'd forgotten that you have. So it's actually always a really productive feeling. Just don't go at it too hard and too strong because you might cause yourself an injury.